Jonny, where else to start? A Stretford End winner against Aston Villa. You in the thick of the celebrations, Rasmus Højlund, first Premier League goal. How good a moment was that?
Like getting the winner at Stretford End, especially coming back and being 2-0 down at half time. And I think Boxing Day as well. I love the games on Boxing Day, and that's what they're all about. The fans being there, and you can sort of feel that the atmosphere is a little bit different. So, big night for us.
Where does that rank in your you've had a many Stretford End moment like that over your time, your two?
I mean, the recent ones always feel better, don't they? Because they're new. But I think, like I say, at the Stretford End, and that's what it's all about. We want to be attacking the Stretford End the last couple of minutes, pushing, and we've seen that over the years, and it's a big bonus for us having that.
How pleased were you for Rasmus Højlund?
I think we all were. I think when I turned around, I didn't know who's. I think because I'd gone up for the header and fallen to the ground, I didn't know who'd scored it until I saw him run off. But absolutely delighted for the big man, and his work rate and his ethic and his personality around the place. He's been very positive, and I think for him to get that goal, I'm sure it's been playing on his mind. He's had quite a few goals in Europe, but the Premier League it's sort of evaded him. And just for him to get that, he settled in really well amongst the team, I have to say. So I think everyone was delighted for him.
I think when he first joined, he talked about, like yourself, growing up as a Manchester United supporter, but he obviously watched you playing. Mm-hmm. He mentioned that. Have you had a chance to joke with him about that since you've?
No, we've spoken about that, and I think I have to say his football knowledge is unreal. He's if anyone has any sort of football questions that what happened in this game, you can ask Rasmus and he knows, and you can tell he absolutely loves the game of football and he loves Manchester United. So like I say, we're all delighted that he got that goal.
Another young player making headlines again recently against Aston Villa, Alejandro Garnacho, on the right hand side. I just wonder, somebody who plays with him, how good can he be?
I think he's already shown his quality, and he's such a danger. I think maybe last year watching from afar, I always thought he was a player that could come on and make an impact from the bench, and I think sort of over the last couple of months he's shown that he's ready to start, and he's made that sort of step up. He's up. He looks, even from the start of the season, I can see a big change in his game in terms of his maturity, and he looks like he believes he should be starting in the team. Obviously going over to the right hand side, he normally plays off the left, so it was a big ask for him the other night, and he had to adjust to that, but he took his goals well, and I think he's got a great attitude, especially at a club like this, to be able to handle that sort of the pressure and expectation, and his work rate off the ball, everything that he's shown the last couple of months has been really top level.
Is it unfair to make Ronaldo comparisons given the club he's at, or to maybe embraces that kind of pressure and puts that on himself? I don't know, at a young age, what does he have some qualities that Ronaldo had maybe at that age?
I don't know. I mean, I was a young lad then at the time, so it's hard to sort of remember, what that. But I mean, I think for anyone to be compared to Ronaldo is, quite premature, and I think he's obviously spoken before about the fact that Cristiano is his idol, and he sort of models his game on him. So, like, I think when you're a winger and you play for Man United, or a forward player trying to, the way they play, and especially his speed and trickery, he's always going to have that comparison. But I'm sure he's got different qualities that he'll want to show himself.
I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to any young player at Manchester United, given that you've been here through really successful times, and obviously under Sir Alex Ferguson, where you would have learned so much, and not just from him, but other big characters around the club. What advice would you give some of the current younger players about playing at this club?
I think, embrace it. There's a big expectation, and you're scrutinised in everything you do, but there's no better place to be, and I really believe that. And I think, especially the young lads, the academy boys coming in, they're looked after and they're cherished in a way. And even the other night when we were walking off the pitch, it was, I class myself as an academy player, which is, and
eight in total, was it?
Yeah, there was.
Across the night?
I think there was 8 sort of involved in the game. Yeah, in the game, and I think I was walking off, and there was 3 or 4 of us, and I love seeing that. It's a bit of a bias, I suppose, but you sort of feel like you feel connected in a way, and I think it's great that as a young lad coming into this team, it's been a club over the years. It's always pushed young players and always believed in them, and it's part of the history of the club, and I don't think that'll ever change.
And as a fan and Manchester United player, it must be quite exciting with all of this going on with Ineos at the moment, and possible changes to the football side of things. And is that an exciting time at the moment to sort of learn what the future holds in that sense?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's looking to see what's going to happen. There's a change in something at the club. Everyone will be aware of it, and I think for us as players at the moment, obviously being so busy with the schedule, and I think it'll be like that over the next couple of games until there's going to be a little bit of a break in January, and I'm sure once everything sort of settles down, we'll probably get to see more of that.
I wanted to ask you about Eric Ten Hag. How have you found working with him? What are his best qualities?
I've loved work. He's been great. He's given me a chance to come back to the club and play, and he's shown faith in me when he's put me out on the pitch. So he's very meticulous in his work, and he leaves no stone unturned. He makes sure that we're all prepared going into the game, and you have to say his work ethic is something else. And he's putting his heart and soul into the team, into the club, and trying to do everything right. And he's been very impressive to see.
He's been speaking today actually about the game against Villa and the comeback, and that showed that there can be an identity with this team. Especially as in the second half when you did fight back to win the game, aggressive on the front foot. Is that something you feel as players can come together?
Don't want to always be fighting back and trying to make comebacks, and I think the manager, I'm sure, is totally aware of that too. But if you have to, it's always nice to be able to do that and have that. We've shown that throughout the season as well, in terms of, I think it was Brentford early in the season, and Forest as well, one of the early home games. So, we've shown we can do that at Old Trafford, and it's such a big fortress, it's a place where we feel comfortable, the fans, and like I said, I talked about earlier, the Stretford End, we were shooting in the Stretford End. So it's always good to have that, but we don't want to be in that position too much. It'd be nice to sort of being able to control games a bit more from the start, and scoring early and being able to maybe then go on and score 2 or 3 more goals. But like I say, it's a good thing to have.
Let's talk about you coming back and enjoying a good spell at the moment. Did you expect to play as much as you have this season?
I didn't. I didn't really know what to expect. I don't think I was truly aware of where I was at myself, and I'm sure the club weren't fully aware either. It was a bit of a sort of it just sort of seemed to fit at that time, and but look, I've made quite a few appearances now, which I'm not complaining about, and I'm enjoying it more than ever.
So what did you learn? Best piece of advice under the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, people like Roy Keane, who I know you've obviously looked up to. Any advice stand out from them that you can take on into the second spell at the club?
I think one thing I always take from them, I suppose, is their determination and the way they approached everything. They were winners, I suppose. Every training session, every game that you play in, you got to compete, and there's nothing better. There's no better feeling than that. I think sometimes, even when we were outside training today, you have a little 5-a-sides at the end, and my team came out on top.
Okay, right, go give them a mention. Who was in the 5-a-side team then?
Myself, Tom Heaton, Hannibal, Anthony, Diogo. Hope I'm not missing anyone out there. Or Christian.
Some team.
Good team.
I was going to ask, for yourself personally, when you realised that there was this chance to come back, was the emotion excitement? Did you feel like almost unfinished business? Maybe did it hurt when you?
No, not at all. I felt like I suppose I felt proud of my career. I didn't feel like there was anything missing. I suppose when the chance came back, I suppose there was probably apprehension there as well, because like I said, I didn't know where I was at. I suffered last year with a lot of injuries, so I was a bit unaware. But I just kind of felt like I had nothing to lose. I just come in and do my thing really, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, there's nothing really. That's kind of only my mindset at the time, and just tried to enjoy it. As simple as that. There was no sort of didn't try to overthink about it too much or put too much expectation or of what was happening because, like I say, I didn't know where I was kind of at myself.
I was going to say, are you a better player this time around for your experiences at West Brom, Leicester? You know, very different teams, different styles of play, maybe compared to a team like Manchester United.
I think so. Yeah, I think every player, you'd like to think that the more experience you get, the older you get, the more you've improved. And I still feel like I'm improving. And obviously, you always have the different side of it, where physically your body, you know, can start to take its toll, your speed, and yeah, I do know I'm getting a bit older, but I think, you know, as a player, I feel like I'm still learning, and I think that's one thing that's always motivated me. I've loved still learning, and I think coming in with a new manager, with Ten Hag here, a new manager for myself, and seeing the different eyes on the game and the way he sees football, I've really enjoyed that side of it.
How have you adapted to I think it's like 9 or 10 different centre back partnerships at various times this season? It's been a bit all over the place with injuries and suspensions, and how have you as defenders coped with all of that?
Yeah, look, that can be a challenge for any team. We always want stability, and no matter where you are on the pitch, there's partnerships, you know, all over the pitch. You've got partnerships with your keeper, centre backs, and I suppose, you know, throughout my career, you kind of, you know, you understand that, you know, communication's big, and it's always something I've maybe tried to. I've always liked talking about the game, so, you know, I've never had a problem with that. You know, thinking about it, talking it through with different players. You know, I know young Willie played last week. I thought he was outstanding against West Ham, and it was a different scenario because I didn't want to say too much to him before the game. I just wanted to go and play, do his own thing, and try and support him on the pitch. And so you have to analyse it in different ways. But, you know, I've enjoyed playing with every centre back. I think, you know, any centre back. You know, I do think it's such a tough decision, or a tough position to play. You know, nowadays you're asked to, you know, start the attacks, and you're also the last line of defence, and there's a huge onus on centre back. So anyone that's playing defence at the top level, you know, I've got huge respect for.
I was going to ask you about Jonny Evans, the supporter, then, because I think it was, you obviously were a United fan growing up. What can you tell us about the United bedclothes and crying when they lose and all that kind of thing?
You're embarrassing me now. I think, like any fan, you know, I was obsessed with United, and it was always, I think in Northern Ireland, you know, the Premier League was such a big draw for everyone. You know, it was always our sole focus. Man United was my team, so yeah, it's been. I suppose when I look back, I think, you know, how far I've come in terms of, you know, being a young boy supporting a club and coming back for a second time in my late 30s. It's been a good ride.